Beautiful people, grand evening to everyone. It is Taralyn, Michelle, and Billy Wroe live, and I'm
Whoop.
excited about tonight. How you been, friend?
Good, good. Another week. I can't make these weeks up if I tried.
No, we definitely could not make it up. But listen, it's always good to be with you tonight. Ooh, now for those of you watching, thank you so much for tuning in. If you happen to catch us on the replay, still let us know that you were there. Go ahead and replay in the chat or in the comments, and hey, let us know what you think. But Billy, okay. So tonight we're going to be talking about the point of origin. What does that make you think of when you think of the point of origin? And what I'm talking about is that space of center within ourselves and within life. So we're going to get all into that. And Billy, I am curious to know what it is that you have because I know you told me you had notes. I didn't
Uh,
get a chance to have a peek at your notes.
that's all right. Hey, I shared them though. I shared them, so you have them. But it never catches me off guard anyway, because I feel like this is just an hour of us having a conversation we would have over the telephone anyway. Uh,
Exactly.
so for me, when I'm thinking about the point of origin, I'm thinking about the key word of origin is in origination, where things originate from, where they're manifesting from.
Yeah.
And so I'm really looking forward to this conversation, especially with all the things that are going right in my life right now, and really, I would actually go beyond the word right and say all the things that are going divinely in my life right now.
Yeah.
um, that origin, where that's originating from, is just a wonderful place that I've been able to tap into, and I really hope to help other people tap into it.
Absolutely. And for me, origin not only when you said that beginning, basically, I'm hearing foundation.
Hmm.
For me, there are different spaces within all of our foundations, but it's something about having that solid center from which everything builds out from, and then you're able to scale up. People, when they think of scaling up, they think about finances, they think about
Yes.
tangible things, but when it comes to the spirit man and woman, it's important to scale those as well. But before before we get into that, all right, so
Here we go.
man, here we go. Here we go. We have to go, right? So, okay, if you guys tuned in last week and you know that we talked about demasculation or men being emasculated, all right? We made some connections with the toxic masculinity and some of the ways in which masculinity has been viewed. And so by now, unless you've been under a rock, a bridge, or something like that, we've all been seeing rushing across our timelines the slap heard all around the world, right? Well, seen all around the world.
Right, seen and heard.
Exactly. And so aside from that, even getting I don't even want to touch the whether right or wrong and the whole alopecia situation, whatever. I think that what was most interesting for me was some of the responses from people regarding what a man should do or what they would do in a situation like that. And much of it, to my surprise, was rather toxic. But for some men that have the bravado and they feel like this is how they need to respond, this is what manhood is, and this is what they should say. I think what was really surprising for me was the response from a lot of the women, and I say that because if I had my man, I love my man. My man means everything to me. He's my cover. He's the head of my family. If we're together, then I already know that you're a protector. I already know that you have me. The last thing I would ever want to happen is for anything to happen to him, right? And so if my man is standing up for me, I want it to be a situation where it's warranted. Somebody literally trying to rob me, or I stop at a light and there's a gun being put in my face, or something like that. I can't I can't see myself allowing my man to get into a physical altercation because someone says something about me that, granted, may hurt my feelings or I don't like, but for him to actually go to physical blows, a physical situation, not just putting him in harm's way, but we're a team, we're building. We have a legacy that we're building. We have things, and now we're modeling for our children. Whatever happened to sticks and stones? So the fact that we're teaching our children one dynamic when it comes to, hey, you have to think above what somebody says. My mother used to always say, consider the source. we teach our children these fundamentals, but then when it comes to adults, all of a sudden it's justified for a man to not only take the position that Will did, but then for women to be like, yeah, go to blows because somebody talks about basically my hair. And I don't want to minimize the emotional situation that women are in, or even women and men who deal with alopecia. I'm not minimizing that. However, there are lots of things that we deal with that are emotionally taxing. And I think sending the message of somebody says something that you don't like that warrants assault. That was kind of deep for me. What did you think about it? Oh, I don't hear you, Ro.
Sorry, can you hear me
There
now?
you are. Yep, I
All
got
right.
you.
I was in the same space as you were, in your perspective on it. Shoot, I'm a male. The middle of my hair barely grows if it wants to, and I'm just like, at the end of the day, you get what I get, and I understand that there is an unfortunate, I'm going to call it an unfortunate emphasis for women's beauty being attached to their hair, being attached to their appearance. And so I have it a lot easier as a man. I can just cut all my hair off and boom, it's gone.
Yeah.
Whereas it's strange to me because I don't have the attachment to my hair to see the attachment to hair and see again the going back to the topic, the point of origin, see all the things that are attached to that desire to have hair and how it can impact somebody when they lose that.
Yeah.
Maybe even from the biblical standpoint, thinking about the story of Samson, I believe, who cut his hair and lost all of his power.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wow, the power that is in hair for some people, not for all people, but for some people is a great amount of power. There's a lot of value placed in it. And so from the perspective of whether or not Will should have done what he should have done, look, to each their own. I'm never going to tell somebody how to handle their own life situation. However, for myself, it's not the way that I would have handled the situation. I can also tell you, for if I was Chris Rock, that's not the way I would have handled the situation.
Listen.
So I don't come here professing to be like, oh, I'm above anything. No, unfortunately, I grew up in the sticks and stones, and as long as you were talking, that's fine. But as soon as you hit me with a stick or a hand, you ain't the only person on this stage with hands, and I'm gonna show you what I have. So, what's been interesting, because I put a post up about this situation, has been the one of the responses that I got in regards to me not being willing to go to jail over a joke, whether it's a joke in bad taste or whatever. I'm always looking at the person's intent. And overall, even with like just the law in general, if somebody pinches me, I can't punch them and knock them out cold. It's not an equal force of retaliation.
Right.
And so going into that aspect, where my response saying I wouldn't get up and be slapping anybody or fighting anybody over a joke that hurt my wife's feelings. I was called a soft man. But it's funny to me because, again, this conversation we just had last week in Demasculinity about Will minimizing and getting back onto programming with toxic masculinity, in the sense of, oh, I wasn't crying, I was drinking coffee. I thought these memes about me and the infidelity that I experienced with my wife were hilarious. And then you get into a situation not even 6 days later after we talk about this, and it's like, oh, it wasn't so hilarious and you were hurt by that. And because we're going to point of origin, because you didn't address the hurt that you've gone through over the past 365 days, now you're in this moment where somebody says something that is in bad taste or not in bad taste, either way you look at it, but it's not to the detriment of harming your wife. And now you got to go back 365 days and prove to everybody that you're still a man. And it's unfortunate, because had we just addressed the true origin of the issue, that I was hurt not only, one, because my wife was cheating on me, but I was also hurt that the world didn't stand up and support me. This was about to go somewhere else. They didn't stand up and support me when I was hurt. They made fun of me and poked at me and
Yeah.
made me into the laughing stock of America. And so now I'm going to show them the other side of what they want from me. And it's
Yeah.
amazing how much supported he was in his actions when he decided to reinforce that toxic masculinity line of defense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have to pause for a second. Boss Conversations, Brother Gatewood in the house. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. What we got, Billy? What's that comment?
That's Boss Conversations. She says, yes, a great point. I believe it is a struggle that they know within their relationship. I don't think everybody feels like it was warranted, but some may understand where it came from. Absolutely. I understand where it came from,
Oh,
but
I absolutely get where it came from. I think that everybody felt exactly the same with, how everything went down. We felt his reaction, but when it actually happened, it's like, that might have been it. And then listen, Chris Rock, he gets an award because where I come from, Chicago, slow singing and flower bringing. I mean,
right.
that would not have gone down like that. But Billy, I mean, those are, I couldn't agree with you more with that assessment of the situation. Clearly, there's more at play with his reaction than just that joke. There was a whole lot going on. I can only imagine what it must be like. People go through cheating and things in their relationship all the time, but to just be publicly humiliated and emasculated the way he was by his wife, it almost felt to me like she had an axe to grind and chose to do it publicly, just
Mm,
to get. And I don't know anything about their relationship, but for something to play out like that so very publicly, and then for him to have to act his way through it pretty much. I don't think that any of the response that we saw from him, other than the tears, I think the tears were real, but I think that there was so much more that he would have expressed if everything hadn't have been so public. So yeah, it's just funny that we had this conversation last week and then here we are. Here we
right.
are. But I would just hope that first of all, I can't wait till it all goes away. I just hate to see two majorly successful Black men in this situation. It's just so very unfortunate. I can't wait until it's all going away. But I would just hope that as the conversations continue, that people choose to stay focused on the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is so much more than what we actually saw on that screen. And then just emotionally reacting to things and playing that out. In my experiences, it just never works out too well. But yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah. Really quick, Taralyn.
yeah,
Also, Boss Conversation said he definitely needs to address the hurt. Looks like Bruce says the point about not addressing the origin of the pain that caused his reaction is spot on. And then Boss Conversation says the whole past 5 years have been sad, watching how we have been dragged and no one acknowledges he may be in pain without joking about it. Absolutely. But this is where the origin of comedy comes from, is laughing about serious things,
right.
because it makes it palatable. If I can
Mhm.
laugh about being broke, if I can laugh about being raised in the projects, if I can laugh about the ghettos and all those wonderful things that we've laughed about, and I'm guilty of laughing about them too. I grew up in the
Yep.
Def Comedy Jam era, so I heard
Oh,
tons
yeah.
and tons and tons of comedy or comedians basically exploit these unfortunate situations. But
Mhm.
that is how we have learned to cope. And it's time that we learn a different way to cope. And that comes from a place of emotional intelligence. If we're not emotionally intelligent enough, what we'll continue to do is to create these bypasses, for lack of better terms, to dealing with the actual emotions we're feeling. And that's where we're at, honestly, as a country, is nobody wants to hear that, oh, Will Smith, Hitch, that the Men in Black, that Mike Lowry, that he is human and has emotions. No, you get up there and you act and you make me feel better about the struggles and the challenges that I'm facing in life. Don't get up there and tell me about your life, the real part of it, that's painful, that's sadness, that's happy, that's up and down. Don't tell me about that, because that doesn't make me feel good and that doesn't sell box office seats.
Well, also too, let's go. And I have to say this about that. Just what you saying that it brought to mind that people around the world want money. They want that lifestyle. They envy the fact that these people are living a life that they can only dream of. So how dare you tell me about your humanity, your feelings? Dude, you can go anywhere you want to go. You can buy anything you want to buy. You can do anything that you want to do. They feel like just because you have a lifestyle that everybody wants to have, that you don't have the right to complain about anything. You don't have the right to feel. You don't have the right to hurt, And I think that's the thing. We as a country and as a nation have been socialized to just cope instead of just deal with things. That's why you have the stigma of therapy within the Black community. People really not wanting to talk to someone or get coaches or any kind of resource outside of themselves because they're convinced that that's a space of weakness, that you should be able to handle everything on your own. And so that, and then all of these different ways to escape and to numb. Entertainment, of course, is one, but there are a whole lot of other ways in which people cope and numb and escape. And we know all of the list of all of those things, but we've gotten to a space where the expectation for everyone is to put on a face that nothing's ever wrong, nothing hurts, paint this image of what you want people to think your life is, online, to the point where if someone is actually sharing in some challenges or things that they have, they're ridiculed for that. No, you just put up the picture, make it look like everything is okay. If you're a celebrity, God forbid you're human because you have money. You can go anywhere you want to go. I just think it's such an unrealistic and toxic space to be in. And it takes conversations like this where people who are just real, normal, regular people, I don't think that our opinions are so unique that there are not
Right.
other people who feel exactly the same way. I just don't think that a lot of the times we have a lot of conversations where we're embracing our humanity, where we're embracing that these things that are challenges for us, actually, when you embrace them and you're not just coping, you're not trying to escape. These are the building blocks of us achieving these different levels of greatness, that higher self that you imagine. You need this stuff in order for you to be able to reach those spaces, spirit man and woman, to be able to reach those spaces, to be able to manifest some of the things that you want in this world, especially when you're of service. You need those things, and
Absolutely.
so I think getting to a space where we embrace that and start having these conversations differently and make it so that it's not something shameful. To drop the facades, do it. Introspection is wonderful.
Right. It's honestly the equivalent of trying to hide under your blankets in your bedroom when your house is on fire.
That part. Yeah.
That sheet is not going to save you. You are
Nope.
going to burn up alive. And I feel like with our emotional content, because we're very emotionally driven creatures, like that is who we are driven by emotion. Like
Yeah.
if we allowed it, if there was no logic center in the brain, our emotions would just run wild and be like, I thought it, I felt it, I did it. There would be no stopping us from
Yeah.
doing the things that our emotions drive us to do.
Yeah.
But I think this brings us all the way back into the conversation about the point of origin, where things are originating from, and understanding that where we are in the now, where we are in the present, um, is a derivative of our ability to manifest. What are your thoughts
Yeah.
about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that embracing, especially when it's the most challenging, embracing where you are in the now is so very necessary, because in order for us to be able to have that system of belief and to be able to grow in that space where even in the most challenging places, we, I would like to say, cultivate the practice of belief. We'd have to choose to be present. It would have to be something that we're intentional about daily. And no one can spend 24/7 there. We're all human. But
Right.
if you're intentional about making this a consistent practice, it's like any other muscle that you work, eventually it's going to become stronger. And
Right.
so for me, that was important because at one point in time, I didn't understand that belief was actually a practice. I thought
Mm,
that if I just said it enough, and I really didn't know how to believe, to just be honest with you. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't understand that there was a sequence of events that was going to happen, and that my reaction and my consistent reaction, my consistent mindset, and how I chose to play through those things is how I would be able to practice cultivating belief. A lot of people
Mhm.
don't know that. It's not something where let's just like a Tinkerbell or a genie comes and swing. All right, you believe. Let's manifest. Hey, it doesn't actually
As
work
nice
like
as that
that.
would be.
It would be really nice, but I think that understanding that the process that you have to go through is something that's completely and totally manageable when you choose to be present. Being present is a choice, just like not being present is a choice. So I'm glad that you brought that up, that you asked that question. What was it for you? What has been your journey when it comes to? I mean, I know where you are now. I've been knowing you for a while, but what has been your journey when it came to actually coming to a space of the acknowledgement that you had to cultivate, have a practice of cultivating belief in order to be able to manifest? What was that like for you?
It was it's interesting, and I believe this is true for everybody, which is not normally something I would say.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting journey because I always knew that I could manifest. Like I
Mhm.
always knew. Almost, I mean, I could go back to having nightmares as a child, and I remember my older brother told me, Billy, you know, those are just dreams. You can just tell them what to do. And in that moment, the next night I went to sleep and had the nightmare, it was like, boom, I was immediately a lucid dreamer just
Yep.
because somebody told me, hey, you can tell your dreams what to do. They're your dreams.
Right.
And so the ability to manifest has always been something that I believe has been present.
Hmm.
The thing is I didn't realize um, I wasn't paying attention to the actions. I was just paying attention to the outcome. So, brother
Right.
tells me you can control your dreams. Cool. Control your dreams. I wasn't paying attention to the fact that I was cognitively going to sleep with the mindset that I am still attached to reality and I still have the ability to usurp my mind's ability within my dreams
Yeah.
according to what I know to be reality. And so you fast forward that through elementary school, junior high school, and now as an adult and as a man, I'm like, wow, in writing a book last year, it was like, hey, okay, we're going to write this book. And immediately understanding the actions that have to take place in order to do that. That means I intentionally have to sit down in moments of silence, in moments of innovation, in moments of creativity, and put words into the computer so that I can have a book. Um, and so now that we're to the place a year later, like almost exactly a year later,
Yeah.
where the book is now manifest, it doesn't surprise me because I always knew that the outcome would follow. I just didn't understand that the actions were so important. I didn't
Yep.
understand the process. So I believe every single person has the ability to do that. I'm
Yep.
dealing with my middle son. He's actually to my right, your stage left right now, doing his homework, but he's down here with me because at the end of the day, I believe in his ability to be successful, but he's not doing the actions that are going to lead to an outcome of success. So my job as his father is to say, let me get you in tune with these actions so that way the belief that I have for you to manifest this, and maybe the belief that you don't have yet that you can manifest this success, we're going to start putting those actions in place that make it where the success manifests regardless of what you believe.
Absolutely. And I think to your point with that, something that I think that's important to share is that when it comes to writing that book, you were clear about the actions at some point that you would have to take and that consistency and that flow because you saw the goal, you saw the end game. That was something that you became committed to because you want the end game. But for those people out there who are watching this, understand that sometimes when you make a commitment to take action, that process sometimes has to evolve just with you moving. There are going to be many situations where you start to take action and you're not even sure about what action you should take. Case in point, when I started my podcast, it was clear that, okay, this is something that I have to do. This is a part of my calling. It's a part of who I am. It's a part of being able to connect and express to not only my clients that I have, but prospective people in the world who might need what it is that I have to offer.
Right.
Aside from knowing that that's what I was supposed to do, and even though I have a background in radio, what that was supposed to look like and what was I trying to be intentional about committing to every day? Was it going to be every week? Was it going to be, I didn't know any of that. But just in showing up every day. And when people say trust the process, that's what they mean. Now, I used to hear trust the process, and that's like one of those buzz phrases. Everybody has
Mhm.
little phrases that they throw out there. But when they say trust the process, if you were to say, well, what do you mean by that? They can't tell you.
Right.
Just
At
trust the
all.
process. Trust the process means that when your tuition, that spirit, your intuition, that spirit woman or man shows up, and that presence is over you, which I believe is God, that's pointing you in the direction that you are supposed to go in. Trust the process means to move and listen to that, but be okay with the fact that you're not quite sure sometime if the move you chose to make is the right move. Is this a
Right.
part of the overall vision? Is this something that is going to be one of those components that I'm going to stick with? Does it even belong? Am I even right? At the end of the day, trust the process means to trust that movement, and anything that doesn't fit, you'll know, because just like you were told to move, you'll know that that doesn't belong and something else will be offered. But to stay present, remain consistent, and continue to visit that space enough so that you build a connection. That's where the passion comes from, because that's another thing. Passion doesn't just swing happen. Passion
Right.
comes with dedication and commitment to something where you're trusting the process, and that ignites. It'll start off smoldering, then it'll ignite and get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as you continue to move and get better at what it is that you're doing. You get better at listening to that voice. You get better at creating that space. You get better and more committed to staying there. And so I really love that you brought up that point. Understand that we don't always know what these things are supposed to look like. But
Mm.
just like you said with that book, knowing that you wanted that end result and committing to showing up and being there, the rest of it just kind of evolved because Billy was committed and made a space to be present in and committed to.
Absolutely. Really, really quick, I want to bring in this question I posed to the chat. Question to the chat was, what is your manifestation practice? Bruce responded, he said, mastering consistency. It's my biggest tool to manifesting the goals I have set for myself. Continuing, he says, being intentional about doing something every day to achieve the goals that I set. And that is really a consistent process. It doesn't matter uh, how far you are from the goal. If you're
Yeah,
doing something every day you move closer to the goal.
absolutely.
That's a great practice of manifestation. One of my, well, I don't even call it my catchphrase. It's my motto. It's my mantra that I live by is we are who we are today because of who we practiced being yesterday.
Yep.
Therefore, the question is who are we practicing to be for tomorrow? It's like for me, I know that I'm going to be flawed every day I wake up. I know there's going to be a flaw every day
Yeah.
that I wake up. But who am I practicing to be today? And even when I fall off at that next moment, who am I practicing to be for tomorrow? Who am I
Yeah.
practicing to be for tomorrow? And almost at this point, it feels like at each moment, who am I practicing to be for the next moment? Because it's so close. I'm just like, I'm trying to get to the next moment as fast as I possibly can. So I love that, Bruce, being intentional about doing something every day to achieve your goals that you have set. That's a great manifestation. Taralyn, for you, as far as a spiritual mindset coach,
Mhm.
what are some of the things that you do to practice that manifestation?
Oh, what Bruce said is spot on. I make the choice to daily do something that's connected to an aspect of not only who I am as a coach, but who I am as a woman. Because it was for me, it was for a long time, me, what I do professionally was a space for me to kind of escape from introspection, because that could be kind of heavy. It could be kind of hard
Mhm.
sometimes. But I I come to realize that charity begins at home with the spirit woman and man. I can't continue to give to other people if I'm not caring for myself. So when I say create that space daily, designate throughout my week what I do. I designate throughout my week spaces that are specifically for work, and then
Mhm.
spaces that are specifically for Taralyn. I have to make me a part of that. And so I feel like whenever we're creating that space of intentionality and trying to create that space of consistency, never exclude you aside from what it is you're trying to accomplish. never exclude you from the equation, because if you do, then eventually you're going to get to a space where you are going to collapse, and whatever your vision or whatever is, that's going to take a back seat to getting you back to your point of origin, whatever that is for you at that space. And that brings me, just in saying that, coming back to that space, that point of origin, um earlier today, like I was telling you, know, YouTube will prompt you with different things that you can watch and you can check out. I came across that old clip of when Dave Chappelle was on Oprah's show. This was when he walked away from the $50 million contract. So
Mm-hmm.
they were having that interview, and they were having that conversation. And so Dave Chappelle, Oprah asked him a question because she was trying to get an idea of, if you say you didn't walk away from the $50 million contract, then what was it? And he discussed how it was all of the things that went along with the contract, all of these different people pulling at you. As he told her, the Chappelle show had 2 successful seasons before the $50 million contract. And in short,
Right.
he came to a space where he understood that I was getting overwhelmed and lost in the sauce, if you will, because Dave Chappelle had lost who he was.
Mm.
It was so easy for these people to latch on and create this pressure cooker, and create all of the different stories they were creating, the narratives that they were creating. They were able to do it because he had become disconnected to what his point of origin was. Now, I mentioned that because I think it's important for people to understand that when we're choosing these spaces of intentionality, when we're choosing these spaces of consistency, when we're choosing whatever our flow is going to be, when you're going to do your self-care, when you're going to do your different projects and go after those, some of those different goals and things that you have, understand that in that space of self-care, it's always important to pause and take a self-check moment, because since we're evolutionary creatures, and it's levels to this, it's levels to this life, it's levels to growth, it's levels to all of the different things that we want to do. Our center, our point of origin is going to change throughout life, just as we do. Just as we're evolving and we're growing and we're bringing in new data and information and we're processing things, then that point of reference is going to need to be shifted and elevated, just as we need to be shifted and elevated. It's so important as we go through this process to have different checkpoints where we see, hey, is my point of origin at this stage in my life in alignment with where I currently am and where I'm going, or maybe even where I want to go as a spirit man or woman? So that's another thing that reminded me that I need to be intentional about having that self check space to make sure that when I'm manifesting and I get to that next level that I've prayed for and that I've worked for, that I'm in alignment. My space of origin is in alignment to be able to not only receive what I've prayed for, but support the weight of whatever's coming to me. I think that's something that we all need to be aware of. What do you think about that?
No, I could not disagree with you on that, because there's so much that comes with breaking into that next level. We always talk about level up, level up, level up, level up. Well, yeah, and when you're leveling up, realize that what you had on level one is not
Mhm.
enough to get you through level two. It's those moments where I tell a lot of my friends this, who call me with life situations and life challenges. I'm like, hey, it's those moments where things begin to become difficult.
Yeah.
That's that moment where you're getting ready to break out of that cocoon of the level that you're on, and you're getting ready to move into the next level where things become challenging again. It
Yeah.
is a cycle. It is just like planting a seed, growing a crop, harvesting that crop, tilling the ground, planting a seed. It is a cycle of
Yeah.
moving level to level to level. So I couldn't disagree with you on that. Even in the aspect of writing a book, I look at the levels in which I went through before I actually got to the place where I was writing a book.
Yeah.
It was Facebook posts and little posts here that then became paragraphs that then became like a whole essay.
And then
and
the videos. I
and
remember
then
when you
video.
started doing the videos in your backyard. I was
Right.
hooked on those.
And it's funny because like the videos even had its levels of growth, because I started the videos with, I'm just going to sit and tell a story. It was very unscripted. It's still very unscripted. I just know
Yeah.
where I'm going because I have certain notes and points that I want to hit.
Yeah.
But it was just it was me in the backyard with my phone in front of my face talking. And then it grew to me being in Utah with, okay, I'm going to give some tools for the first row. We're not just going to talk about it. We're going to give some substance that you can chew on to apply in your life. To now it's like, then it went to like inner sations, having deeper conversations. It's just, there's so many levels. And each time I got to a new level, it was challenging.
Yeah.
Each time that I started doing something different, it was hard. And then you have technology that's constantly changing. Then you get comfortable and
God.
technology changes. And now you got to start all over with technology.
See, that's the
um,
reason why this is good, because you're the one, you're so much better with this thing than I am. I do what I do, but all this technology stuff, listen, I'm learning from you with this.
I'm gonna bring this in. Del Paso Jackson says self-check moments also means guarding your spirit. What do you have to say about that?
Absolutely. I think that a lot of people don't really give weight to how important it is to remain cognizant of the spiritual succubuses, for lack of
Ooh,
a better word.
ooh.
You see the eyes, I mean, seriously, because here's the thing that I've learned, and that is that we are usually the last people to see our light.
Mm,
People will see your light, see what you were created to do, see your gifting. Even if they don't understand what you were created to do, they know that it's something unique, something that's powerful, something that's special about you. And some people come around, especially when they can kind of tell that you don't know that you have that thing. And even
right.
if they told you, you wouldn't understand that you're still seeking and you're still searching, right? So you have those people who come around who see your light, they're clear that it's something special, and they will latch on. And if you're not aware that that's a thing, and if you're not even, I would say that there's even levels to us understanding the depths of what is innate that God put in us when we show up for service to others. Because I believe we're all created in service. So even if you're not completely and totally aware of the full extent of what your life would evolve to, or what your light would evolve to be, if you're not aware that there's even something there, then you'll have the mindset, because usually those people love service anyway, that you're just supporting, 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 and supporting. And what you're doing is actually allowing somebody to enter into a space where they can take and just deplete you of what you have, and they're giving you nothing back.
Mm,
So you're just allowing them to suck, 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 suck away. And this is the reason why knowing thyself is so important. People think that when someone says know thyself, that immediately you know every facet of who you are, which is impossible. It's an
right.
evolutionary process. However, you can have a point of origin, you can have a center from which you understand at the most basic space who you are and some of what you possess, even if you don't understand all of it. And so now you're conscious about who you let into what ring of your circle in your life, who you allow. Once you know a little bit about who you are and what you're bringing to the table, you get to pick and choose who you share with. You get to orchestrate mutually
Right.
beneficial friendships and relationships. When you have no idea of what that is, then now people are coming in and they're picking and choosing what they're going to take from you, if they give anything to you, if they're going to take what it is that you offer and use, and you not even get credit or benefit for it. Everything that you have, you're putting in control and in the hands of someone else who's just looking to take until you figure it out. So yeah, I completely and totally agree with that. We have to be cognizant. If you're not sure of what your thing is, if someone watching this doesn't even think they have a thing, you do. You
Absolutely.
absolutely do. We all do. Then that's where that knowing thyself thing comes from. And I think that if you have no idea, then you are leaving yourself open to just be a host for some really ridiculous
Parasite.
stuff. Man,
Whoops.
man.
Nah, that I whew, I know we normally don't disagree. I can't even remember a time where we've disagreed, but that know thyself is so critical. I remember my godfather used to tell me, Billy, don't let anybody steal your joy. And then he also explained to me one thing that was very revealing, and I try to keep with me today, is that, Billy, a lot of people are going to be attracted to you, male and female, are going to be
Mhm.
attracted to you because of your light.
Oh yeah.
And they are they may not even know that they're attracted to you because of your light. They think, oh, I just like Billy, but they're really attracted to you for your light. And when they come into
Mhm.
your life, especially for me growing up as a child, when they come into your life as a female coming into your life and they're attracted to that light, they're going to want to give themselves to you. And every time you take advantage of that opportunity to whether it be sexually active or promiscuous or whatever it may be, what you're going to do is you're going to dim your light. And then what's
Absolutely.
going to happen is that person who's there for your light doesn't realize why they're becoming less and less attracted to you.
Right.
And so I've gone through this cycle of things numerous times in my adolescence and young
Yeah.
adulthood
Yeah.
where I didn't understand why relationships would be so good. And then they'd start to like tilt on their axis and start to spin off course.
Yep.
And now that I know that, when I do create, especially new relationships with females, I mean, even with yourself, when we first created a relationship, it wasn't, oh, well, I want to talk to you at late at night or anything like that. I had to become very intentional about why I was creating the relationship, because I also
Mhm.
went through a cycle of, oh, I'm going to lie to myself about who I am. I don't really want these intimate things with this person. I just want the attention. No, you really want the intimate things, and you're manifesting through the process how to
Mhm.
get to that intimate stage with that person. The
Mhm.
other thing that brought to mind about know thyself was not just the light aspect, but the fact that one of the things I have noticed as of probably like the last 3 years that I've noticed is that people will get upset with you and be willing to fight and argue with you when you
Mhm.
are no longer willing to allow yourself to be
Come on.
a source of whatever nourishment they need
Come
without
on.
any expectation or standards that they are to pour back into the bucket. People get mad at you
Absolutely.
about that. And there's been plenty of people that I've just said, oh, well, you're upset about that. I'm sorry that you're upset about that. Case in point, going all the way back to the Will Smith thing. When somebody told me I was soft about it, I went all the way down to the point where I said, hey, if your standard is that regardless of how long I've known you, that I say something that offends your wife or your children, that you're going
Mhm.
to put hands on me rather than come to me and educate me as a man so I have an opportunity to apologize, then we
Mhm.
need to split and part ways now. I don't think I'm ever going to do anything to offend you or your family. However, I don't want to end up in a fight with you, because that's what we're going to end up in, is a
Yep.
fight. I don't want to end up in a fight with you and lose track of the complete issue. The complete issue is I offended your family. I'm somebody that you guys love, and you're somebody that I love. And so let's deal with that issue and get things back on track rather than hitting each other. Because once we hit each other, there's really no more friendship after that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And to your point about people mistaking the light for something sexual. People
Mm-hmm.
always, they and I won't say all, oftentimes I've run across that a lot too, meeting a lot of different people, a lot of different men in a lot of different contexts. And what's funny is when they think they like me, I can see what it is. They
Mm.
think they like me. And when I say, you think you like me, you like the idea of me. You don't know me.
Oops.
You don't know. I mean, even if you think that aesthetically, oh, okay, she's attractive. And they like the whole intellectual thing. They like that too. But
Right.
that's just a facet of who Taralyn is. They don't know how to place it or what to do with it. And that's when it comes back to exactly what we were talking about. When you know who you are, I have a responsibility because of who I am and what it is that I do to be a protector of those that come into the light. I could be someone who's irresponsible and I can manipulate that. I could play with that. I could use that, or I could have such a respect for that gift that God has given me within the context of what I do, that even when somebody could be putting themselves in harm's way, they're safe with me because I understand who I am and I understand that what it is that you're attracted to. And once you get what's going on here, usually that changes. It's like people who don't get it now, they have a respect for the fact that, oh,
Mm.
okay, so you were not, you weren't just talking, you were like serious when you said, and I'm like, yeah, why would I, no. But that's something where when we respect that thing that God gives us, that light within, when we respect it and use it the way that He wants us to, it actually makes it stronger. It makes us more capable. It makes us better at what we do as servants. As you mentioned, when you were not sure and you would get into those situations, and then now you're dimming your own light, and people don't understand that when you, or maybe some people do, but when you describe dimming light, you can actually, from a physical standpoint, feel you losing the energy associated with that thing that you were meant to
Absolutely.
use in one way, but you're actually going in the opposite direction. There's a physiological thing that goes on that that's what the dimming of the light is. You know, that's exactly what it is. And so I've been in situations where, because I didn't know, I didn't realize that I was depleting myself and misusing that thing, because I've been in that space before, and now I'm in a space where I respect it and I understand it, and I want to grow. I want to get better. I want to be someone who makes a huge impact on people's lives, because when I feed people, it feeds me. I don't
Right.
want to do anything to stand in the way of disrupting that. And I think that that's one of the major points for anyone watching to take away from this. If you want to reach that pinnacle of that, the grandest version of yourself that you can imagine, and I'm talking about outside of physical stuff. I mean, we all want nice things and to be able to go wherever we want, or whatever, whatever, whatever. I'm not talking about just success in that way. A lot of us have a vision of the type of human being that we want to be. If that's your thing and you're into that, just know that being a protector of others with whatever your gifting is how you get to be the best at your gifting, and you have control to be able to use it in a way where you make that kind of impact. And I think in some way that's important to all of us. I really do.
Oh, absolutely. Really quick, because I missed this, but Del Paso Del Paso Jackson said, "Ooh wee, yes." Um, B Gate 82 says, "Know thyself. I live by this. I know who I am and what I'm about. Powerful stuff." And then he also
Mhm.
says, "Boundaries make people weird." Absolutely. People get real funny when it comes to you saying, "Hey, I have some boundaries that I'm going to keep." Um, Even getting married with my wife and I, when we first started dating, it was like, "Hey, this is who I am." And I remember being like just dating, and I wasn't committed, like, oh, I'm dating one person at a time. I remember I was dating multiple people, and I was like,
Mhm.
I'm just trying to see what's out there from a perspective of intellect, from a perspective of where you're headed in life. And you do that by learning different people. And
Absolutely.
so, in learning different people, I remember I'd go on dates and I'd say, hey, this is where I'm at. I'm not interested in being your boyfriend, maybe later, but right now, that's not what I'm interested in.
Mhm.
This thing doesn't even have to be a sexual thing. I'm okay with it not being sexual. However you want to roll, we can roll.
Let's
And
hang out.
and I would go on these dates, and women would be like, "Oh, I really like him. Well, we should sleep together tonight." I'm like, "Well, you said you didn't want to sleep together, so I'm not ready to sleep with you because I didn't come with that mindset of sleeping with you." And then it would be, "Oh, well, we can sleep together, but if we sleep together, it's only us sleeping together." And it would be like this convoluted boyfriend situation. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not interested in that. I'm okay with us going out to dinner, having good conversation, and saying goodnight. I'm all right with that. And people really wanted to try to push past that. And the reason why my wife became my wife is because she was like, that works for me. We can get to know each other and actually learn about each other and see about the things that we like. If we both like to travel,
Right.
that's great. If we both like hiking and adventures, that's great. And it
Right.
allowed us to build a true foundation in which, when things get hard and things get, difficult, because it's a relationship, there's
Yep.
a stable enough foundation for us to stand on and keep our feet planted in the relationship.
Yep.
So I just, yeah, that for me, the boundaries things, people will fight you because you set boundaries and have standards. And I'm like, you're gonna be swinging at the air because my standard is my standard, and you don't get to change that.
But the
You can
truth of
change
the
it
ma-
for you.
but the truth of the matter is, many people who say that they have boundaries, they say that because they feel like that's what people want to hear, when in reality they shapeshift depending on what they feel like a situation could end up being. There's
Right.
really no true foundation there. And that's the reason why you would have that type of situation. I love that I'm a sapiosexual. I do. Good
Hey.
conversation. Listen, you and I have that in common. You know what, Billy? I think that that's the reason why from the time we met, clearly we're both attractive people. Well, we were both married when we first met. There was a period when both of us were not. But I think the fact that we just respect, we've always respected each other's light, and we just really enjoy conversation. And just, it was never about any, there were just never any ulterior motives. We were just who we were. There was never any pressure from you, me, and just naturally we were meant to be the type of friends that we are. And that's like so totally good, you know.
Right.
But these days, people, I see a lot of people looking for something outside of them to feel things within them that they would have to feel. And if that's the space that you're going through the world, you know, if that's how you're navigating things, then that's what'll make it where you really don't have those boundaries. You really don't have what your point of origin is. You really haven't come up and said, you know, Taralyn had to sit down and say, okay, when it comes to me, what are my preferences? What are the deal breakers? What
Hmm.
is something that makes it where I'm even willing to entertain a conversation or spend time with someone? Not intimate time, just time in general. I had to establish or reestablish what that was for me. A lot of people
Right.
don't take the time to do that. They just keep moving
Hmm.
on to the next thing, just moving and moving and moving and moving and kind of letting circumstances dictate how they feel that Wednesday or
Right.
Friday. That, you know, that's where that
Yeah.
comes from. That's why you have women nodding, saying, "Oh yeah, sure, nothing physical. We could be friends." And then you say something, you do that thing you do, with you know, just to
What my algorithm?
listen. We're not gonna go there tonight. I'm not with you because that's y'all. Listen, and you, I would see a whole algorithm, a book with labels with names of people based on where he met him, racetrack.
Hey, I will
Walmart.
add this to that, is that a lot of times the standard we don't realize starts with us
Yeah,
setting our standards for ourselves. It's
yeah,
not even about, oh, they got to be 7 foot tall, weigh 250 or whatever. It's nothing about the exterior people. It's always about what are we accepting for ourselves. When I
absolutely.
accepted that dimming my light was no longer acceptable for
Yep,
me, then I became much more protective, like you said, protecting. I became much more protective of my light. I became much more protective of the types of situations that I put myself into.
yep,
And I became more protective of the types of people that I was willing to help.
absolutely. Oh,
As
oh,
a person who spends quite a bit of time pouring into other people, helping other people,
daily.
loving other people,
Yeah,
you have to be selective about, is this person really interested in your help, or are they interested in depleting your light? Because I'm okay with my light being depleted, because it makes no sense to have a stockpile of light, a stockpile of divinity within me. Makes no sense to hold on to that and hoard that.
right.
But what I'm not okay with is being wasteful with my light and just to shining it like two Duracell batteries, just shining it until the light goes dim. Now you in the middle of the forest with a dim flashlight. I'm not about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? It is so okay to unapologetically know who, and I'm just going to say this because I don't know any other way to say it. Who is worthy of your light and who isn't? We all have tribes that are designated to us that we're meant to serve. Not everybody that comes along is even meant to be a part of the tribe that you're of service to. And so when I say worthy, I'm not talking about the worth of that soul or that individual, but depending on where that person is and what they're bringing to this table, what they're bringing into your arena, that
Mhm.
person might not be the person because of where they are and because of where you are who's suited for what it is that you have to offer. And I think some people get into that space where they feel like, you know what, I want to help everybody, I just can't turn anybody away. It's not meant to do that. That's not how that's supposed to be. Everyone is not meant for you. And
Right.
that's where knowing yourself and trusting your instinct, you know, trusting your voice from God within you that's saying that this person is for me or that person is not. And sometimes these type of things are what's necessary for you to be built and to understand who your audience is when it comes to serving. A lot of people think that, if I just try to appeal to everybody, then that's the ticket. No, if you're trying to appeal to everybody, then you're really appealing to nobody, not just in business, but in whatever your service is and what your anointing is. So it's nothing wrong with defining the scope of the people that you're of service to unapologetically, because that's why there are so many. That's why all of us have something unique that we bring to the table. If you don't help that person, there's someone out there that is meant for them to be a part of their tribe and not necessarily yours. So I know that's something I had to say, because I went through that for a while. I mean, you and I, what we do is nonstop. It's 24/7.
Right.
I remember when I wrote my book, The Ultimate Release, and having that space when I realized that I was on autopilot in my life, just doing a whole lot of things that was not really rooted in any reason, no divine assignment, no divine purpose, just flying by
No,
the seat of
nothing.
nothing, just flying by the seat of my pants, wondering why I'm never reaching a destination, because it's your damn aircraft and you're in the passenger seat. There's no
Right.
one driving this thing,
Right.
So that's a part of taking ownership of what your journey is, having an idea of what your ultimate destination is, and understanding the people that fit into that and the ones that don't. You know.
Yeah. That, and when you say being appealing to everyone, um, immediately my mind says, if you're appealing to everyone, that means there's times where you're not appealing to yourself.
Absolutely.
Like, you
Absolutely.
cannot be appealing to everyone all the time and authentically and um, organically be appealing to yourself all the time. That means you just lack the identity, unfortunately. And I mean, us, being coaches, that's a really important thing, because there's been times where, I get paid well when I do coaching. You get paid well when you do coaching.
Mm.
But there's been times where we both had to say, yeah, sorry, this is not going to be a good fit. It's just
Can't
not.
be you can't be in it for the money. You just really can't be, because you can't, because man, you get some stuff. I'm trying to tell you, but that's where, when you really understand who you are and you're passionate about what you do, you're passionate about making a true difference. And not only that, growing through the process. I can spot clearly a million miles away somebody who is not, I don't care how much money they have, who is not a fit for me at all. And it shocks people when you're that person where you just like, no, sorry, I can refer
Right.
you to someone. That blows their mind. Or I've even had a couple people where I, made a misjudgment and had to fire them. That's happened a couple times. It is
Hey,
what it is. But yeah, that whole knowing yourself piece, that's what it's all about. But this is good stuff.
yeah.
Good.
Well, we are almost at time. I want to bring in the last few things that have come up. It looks like Brother Bruce said, I always call his brother Bruce is B Gatewood or B Gate 82. Man, I needed this message for real, for real. Thank you both, heart and
Absolutely.
strength. I told him the first row has your back, and then casual. Look at you, you're able to make it on a Tuesday show. I
Right
love it.
on in.
Casual Economist says, love these Tuesday shows. It's new content, so I'm glad you're enjoying it. We're just going to continue to have conversations that really
Absolutely.
are surrounding the areas of growth, self-love, self-development, and all the things that really have helped us get to not our destination, but the place that we're at on the level that we're on at this point. And there's many, 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 many more levels to go. But the surety that comes, I'm going to be honest, the surety that comes in the level that we're on right now
Yeah.
is so therapeutic.
Yeah.
It's therapeutic mentally, it's therapeutic spiritually, like to be able to like stop in the middle of your day and pray for someone, or stop in the middle of your
Mm.
day and just reflect on the greatness and the goodness of the Most High, or whatever it may be. Like, it's just an amazing space to be in. And even as I like sit here on a live show and engage with you, and my son's typing louder than he normally types and coughing and clearing his throat, like to just have the gratitude that even in the moment that he has the ability to sit and listen to these types of conversations, to put him that much further ahead. Like, it's just a great level to be at. And we
It is.
are both committed, I would say, to driving these types of conversations, because in the world where somebody may decide to slap somebody in the beginning of your week, you need somebody who's going to pour in some love and some compassion and some kindness and some depth of thought to
Yep.
move through the noise. So I don't want to say anything else. That's all I got to say. Let's let the people know when they can find us next, Taralyn.
Absolutely. Well, for those of you who may not know, you should. The Grind Defined, my podcast. Episodes every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can log on to thegrinddefined.com to link to all of the major platforms from there, or if not all, most, or you can search The Grind Defined in whatever app you choose. There's always thought-provoking content, some interviews, Mindset Mondays and Mix, where there's affirmations and just some new age hip-hop, R&B, very melodic feel going on with that. I'm a poet, so some of that as well, but it's just something that I really enjoy doing and a way that I choose to express what it is that I do. So check it out. Yeah, check out The Grind Defined.
Definitely a treat. If you like these conversations, it's a treat, because then, like, if you need to go and do something, you can actually pause and then come back and they still be in the same spot. Unlike here, you're going to have to catch the replay and pause and come back.
Hey, that's what you got to do, right?
The other thing that we have coming up on the first row, that's on The Grind Defined. And if you haven't subscribed to the Grind Defined YouTube channel, you may want to go ahead and shift over that way to go and subscribe there. I don't have, unfortunately,
Yes.
Taralyn, I don't have the link ready, but we'll have that link ready to go for the next show. This
Absolutely.
is still a show we're building, so we just talk
Yeah.
like y'all ain't even in the
We're working it
conversation at this point.
Right.
But the next thing that we do have coming up on the first row is tomorrow we have the Wednesday Word.
Yeah.
That is Wednesday Word. We're having that on March 30th at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The topic is saving everyone but yourself. Man, I didn't, by the way, I didn't put that light concept into the saving everyone but yourself, but my goodness, they align so well.
I was just about to say, but did you plan that?
No, I did not, but it's fortunately it's divine, so I can rock with that. But
there you go.
If you want to see what's next on the first row, that will be what's next is the Wednesday Word. That's tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then also coming up this weekend, if you pre-ordered your copy of Fire Your Job, Hire Your Passion, booyah!
Shameless plug.
Hardcover. You got the hardcover. If you ordered your copy of Fire Your Job, Hire Your Passion, this Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm doing a 2-hour live Q&A session with myself on the first section of the book, which is the layoffs. These are the firing behaviors if you started reading the book. So if you haven't gotten through the first 4 chapters, you might want to get through them. Or even if you haven't even started reading the book, you're welcome to come in, join. If you pre-ordered, you should be able to check your email. If you do not see the email with the link to the private event, then check your spam, because it may have gone to your spam folder. But that is an event that's coming up this Saturday. It's the last day that I will be in my age of 40, and I will be turning 41 the following day. So would love to spend part of that day with you guys. But that's all I got for you guys. Anything else you got, Taralyn?
I mean, hey, just I appreciate you guys coming in, sharing your thoughts with us. I would like to pull some of you guys up live. So if you're ever in the virtual building live with us and you want to come up and join the conversation, let us know. Billy and I do great together, but we do even better with more people.
Yeah.
Interstations is what I'm thinking about.
Right? The panel, it's a celebration.
It's a celebration, right? Exactly. But it has been an amazing conversation as usual. Thank you guys so much who tuned in with us. If you're catching us on the replay, we completely and totally appreciate you. Until next time, unless that's it for you. I won't be cutting you off.
That's it. No,
that's it. All right. Well, until next time, this is Taralyn, Michelle, and Billy Wroe live. We'll see you later.
Peace.